Hi everyone, this is the video for the Opel Scanner plugged into the Cavalier 1.8 CNZ. It's a 1994 model and the car's been well maintained and I've just used it to run around and I've kept in good condition bodywork wise and engine wise, but I've never get round to actually looking at all the sensors, seeing what it's doing, and there's some slight issues with the way it's running and the emissions. And after a lot of work done on it, I wanted to actually see what was going on. So I've plugged Opel Scanner up, I've put it in my PC or my laptop, and I'm now looking through all the parameters. So I thought I would just give you a run through first of all the parameters that you'll see. Now this isn't OBD2, this is OBD1. So there's no function for coding or changing anything really. The only thing you can do is look through the parameters, look at the graphs, see what you're getting. The O2 sensor, when I got it, or when I changed it, I think maybe after a couple of years I had taken it out, I tried cleaning it, thinking there was maybe something wrong with it, and it wasn't a genuine Bosch part, so I thought I may as well get the right part and change it over now that I can see the graphs and see what's happening. Well, with the O2 sensor, and what I'm going to do is just at the moment run through the parameters that you can see if you put this on your car. Now, battery voltage, coolant temperature, voltage, and temperature itself is all there. So you can see the battery voltage is hovering about there, nearly just under 14. If I turn something on like the heated rear window, which takes a lot of power, you can see it drops a little bit. If I turn the fans on, more, drops a little bit more. So that's a good way of checking the voltage. Coolant temperature, voltage, that's the sensor in the engine that tells the computer what voltage, what temperature the engine is at by way of differentiating voltage. This is actual temperature. Now the fan's just kicked in. The fan switch is actually quite lazy, which I've got a replacement for, because it's actually only cooling down from about 105 to about 98 or so. It should actually cool down a bit more than that, so I'll come back in a minute and see how it's cooled down to when the fan comes off. So this is your engine revs here, there. Spark angle, that should be about 12 before, but you can see it varies about because the computer's continually making adjustments to the fuel and stuff in the ignition. Torque control, not too sure what that is. Fuel pump relay, that's just the fuel pump's on. Park neutral switch, now this car used to be an automatic, but I've since switched it over to a manual, and I've taken all the ECU out for the computer for the automatic transmission. The other things on, there's some things that I don't discuss, I don't bother with that there. Clear flood mode, injection pulse is just giving you the pulse per second, so it's 0.6 milliseconds at the moment, you can see here, and there's the fan off, so we'll see what the temperature is. 94, 95, it's not too bad, but I would prefer it down a little bit more. Fuel cut off, power enrichment, RON code, and that's the plug on in the engine bay for the fuel, type of fuel. Vehicle speed, if I move the car you'll see it picking up the speed. There you go, speed picked up in kilometres an hour. Vehicle speed pulse received. Now air fuel ratio, this is related to your O2 sensor as well. So you can see the lean and rich switch going up and down there. Now when the car starts up it's constantly rich, which is correct. But when the car first starts, it seems as almost if it's flooding a little bit. So I'm thinking that maybe there's something wrong with that, or the O2 sensor, potentially. So you can see it switching. Now this is the voltage for the O2 sensor. What I noticed with this is there's quite a jaggy pulse going up and down. I think it should be a bit smoother than that. I can see the thing working, but I can see bits in it where it's jumping up and down where it really shouldn't be, or bits where the pulse is halfway through and then it goes down and down again when it should stay up. You can see there quite a messy pulse as well, so whether that's within the tolerable range, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen one that's running fine or is potentially fine. So the other stuff is you've got like O2 sensor loop, which is closed, that's fine. If I hover over the O2 sensor though, you can see there is a trouble code. This is possible trouble codes 13, 44 and 45. There isn't actually any codes, but that's the trouble codes you would get if there was a fault. Now I don't have a fault in this, but I think it's only picking up the fault if the thing isn't switching. Now the thing is switching, but the switching pulse, frequency, whatever, doesn't quite look right to me. So other things we've got: map sensor, idle gear control, throttle position sensors. You can see when I press the accelerator, it goes up and down, and that kind of thing. So I've also got a graph which puts together a couple of the parameters, and you can see it here. So you can see the air fuel ratio at the top, the next one's the O2 sensor. You can see these are related. Throttle position signal and the injection pulse. So if I just give it a little jab, you'll see a wee bit going up. So my plan is, I've got a Bosch sensor, so I'm going to change that over and see what difference it makes, if anything, because at this point I don't really know if this is an issue. It might not be, but to me this pulse doesn't look quite right. So what I'm going to do is change it over, see how it looks, and then come back in the video and I'll show you if it's any different. Okay, I've now put the new O2 sensor in, and after giving it 5 minutes to warm up, because the engine was still warm, the O2 sensor was cold, I let the O2 sensor warm up, and looking at the graphs, it certainly looks better. If I look at this here, parameter, and I go to the O2 sensor, you can see it's switching up and down. That's just when I had it up high revs. The pulse looks a lot more smoother. There's still wee jags in it, but nothing big, nothing major. Certainly a lot better looking than it was. Most of the pulses are reaching where they should be and staying up there and then going down. Sometimes I said there's a little jag, but not often. And I think if you smooth that out, it would probably look even better. As you can maybe remember back, if you rewind the video back, you'll see the way it was before. So I think that's an improvement. I really need to take it a run. I really need to get emissions and stuff checked. But I certainly think that's a lot better anyway. It seems a lot more smoother switching between rich and lean, rather than it seems to be jumping all over the place. So the pulse, let's watch the pulse and see the air fuel ratio. So the fan's on just now, so it's quite warm. So you can see it's got a not bad switch pulse as well. Looking at the air fuel ratio, so I'm quite happy with that. So hopefully I can take it a run. I need to also check in the morning to see if it's over fueling, because it's like a car with a manual choke. When you leave the choke on too long, it starts chugging and stuff. So what I'm going to need to do is try that in the morning, see how it starts from cold, and go with that. The sensor was all suited up, so that's kind of symptomatic of a rich mixture. I'm obviously going to check the plugs as well, just to make sure they've not suited up a little bit since I last checked them. What I'll actually maybe do is clean the plugs out, and then see how this is running still. I mean, that's quite a good trace now, as you can see. So I'll go away and do that and come back and see if it makes any more difference. Okay, I've now cleaned the plugs. The plugs were a little bit sooty around the edge, not on the tips. Well, just above the tips, but not actually in the connection where the spark jumps over. So what I'm going to do now is take it a little run just to see how it's performing. And I've obviously got this Opel scanner rigged up. So I've got the RPM at the bottom, engine speed, throttle position sensor, which you can see if I floor it a bit, not right down, you see it going up. So we'll see how it goes. So there's a car and you don't want one. Flooring it there just to see what happened. It certainly feels pokier, I'll not deny that. Seems to be cars everywhere tonight. Every time I come up here there's no cars, and then when I'm actually wanting to get a bit of headway on, the car appears at every corner. Right, here we go, second gear up a hill, just light throttle, third, just cruising third. We're on an urban road in the scheme, so I'm going to turn onto the main road, or the next up main road if you like. Speed bump. Uses fuel. Every time you slow down and speed up it uses fuel. So I don't know how that's good for the environment. Right. Third. Fourth. Squeaky clutch pedal. Fifth. Cruising. Shouldn't do that with driving. Right, so I'll just get a nice cruise in fourth gear along here. See how it looks. So we're 16, 75, 70, 50 revs. So I'm just going down away from my house. And I'm going to turn in a minute and come back up. When I turn and come back up, I'll give it a bit of a jab with the throttle. It's third gear I'm in now. Just holding it on the revs. Ready to slow down to turn. And slowing down to turn. There's a car there. Just me turning round, first gear, second. Bring the speed up, revs up, then give it a little jab. Quite nippy for a 1.8. I'm obviously not in the motorway, so I don't want to go any faster than, daft speeds. So I'm just cruising. So it looks quite nice now, that pattern. But I've never done this before, I've never had the car out. So I'm slowing down now, third gear, indicating. Taking it back to the house. Second, round the corner. Second. It's quite nippy. It's definitely done something. Time will tell, and my emissions test. Not mine, the car. So slight bumps here. Vauxhall City, right. So I'll go back to the house, park up, let it tick over, see how it looks. As I said, cleaned the plugs out. The plugs looked okay, but they were starting to soot up around the edges, around the sort of bakelite core a bit. So I thought I better clean them. There's no point putting in a new emission sensor and the plugs are all starting to soot up. It won't get any better. So start with a clean slate, say that right. So I'm back down to the house now, neutral. My brakes are a bit rusty because the car's been lying for a while, so I think in honesty the car's going to need new brake discs and pads. Right, so that's been back, stopped, squeaky clutch pedal up. So let's see how it looks now after a good thrashing. Go to parameters. See O2 sensor we're on. So I'm looking at air fuel ratio at the moment. I want to see what it's doing after giving it a nice run. Now I think that looks a lot better. I would have to agree. Quite a nice pulse. It's a short pulse, a wee jag. So the injection pulse is 0.6 of a millisecond. So effectively that's how quick it's opening and shutting. And the O2 sensor here, you can see the pulse is a lot better than it was. So what else have we got? Coolant temperature, voltage 1.9. I did change the temperature sensor and I did notice that, although I thought it was the right one, I think it might, hopefully is, that seemed to be when the car started kind of flooding when it was cold. It was running still, but it was just chugging. And I thought, why is it when I changed the coolant temperature sensor? So I found the old temperature sensor, I'd lost it. So I found that, and I want to look at it and see if it's the same one. But I just want to keep an eye on things as well. The emissions and stuff. The emissions of the O2 seems a lot better than it did. So I'm hoping that is more or less, or it has cured whatever is causing the emissions problem, touch wood. It definitely looks better. It's not as jaggy. It's got a nice pulse on it now. Right, okay, I'll leave it at that anyway, and I'll let you know if anything else transpires. Thanks for watching.